Hello, everyone, and welcome back to TaylorMade, the show where you ask your questions and you get your answers tailor-made by Hamline University head football coach Chip Taylor. In this month's episode, the coach discusses team updates with us and talks specifically about recruiting. He tells us who he believes will be in the Super Bowl this year, and the coach dispenses some advice for a couple of frustrated people out there. So let's get right to TaylorMade. Let's welcome back Coach Taylor for this month. Coach, first of all, do you have team updates you'd like to provide for us?
Team updates. The guys are working hard. They're just excited to be around each other and work through the process of the off season. Right? It's, there's no games at the end of the week, so you just got to kind of put your head down and just kind of knock one day out at a time. So that the guys are doing good, the morale is good, and just heavy into these guys helping us out with recruiting. So,
before we head into our fan questions this week, I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions about recruiting. I know that some coaches like to focus their recruiting in specific areas of the country. Do you find that that's the way that you try to do things as well?
Yeah, you know what? It's unique here because Minnesota's a special place, right? It's a cold place. We get a lot of snow. So we try to use that. And I wouldn't say it as an advantage, but we have to embrace our environment. So we have to keep a bulk of Minnesota and Wisconsin kids on the team, in my personal opinion, because that's where we're from. These kids grew up in this stuff. It's nothing to adapt to. So we're excited about just recruiting the great state of Minnesota and our neighboring state of Wisconsin, and we're looking at Iowa a little bit, but we want to keep the bulk of our team in the Midwest. So.
When you're looking at recruits or who your potential recruits for you, what kind of things are you out there looking for?
Well, I mean, and I'm not going to say the obvious because, everybody does things a little different, but you want to find guys with good length, things that you can't coach, guys that, have good size. So size and I'd say size and length are the two things that, you try to evaluate. And then, how's the kid doing as far in the classroom academically? What does his coach say about him as a person in the weight room? All those things, what does the principal say? Has he been in the principal's office? When you walk in the hallway with a kid, do the teachers love him? Do they hug him, or or nobody acknowledges them? Just little things like that.
Well, let's head to our fan questions. The first one is from Steve from St. Paul. He says, when you think of taking the Pipers to the next level, what is the team or teams you have to get above to be a bigger competitor in the MIAC?
Oh, that's a good question, Steve. And again, the thing we really, really, really focus on, is our team. I feel like if we can do what we need to do, I would never put a team out there because I feel like if we do what we need to do from Hamline University, we'll be okay with whoever we're playing. So, we just need to focus on ourselves and eliminate the mistakes, and the wins will come, so.
Next up, we have Dan, who says, what are the challenges of recruiting at Hamline?
You know what? That's a good question. Challenges, we don't really look at them as challenges. Every place you go, I don't care if it's Alabama or Clemson, you're going to have ticks and fleas everywhere. So every place has it. We just embrace everything that we can. And that's one thing I talk to the assistants about is, well, let's not communicate about how old our turf has been here. It's our home turf, and we were 5-1 on it. So we just anything that we have that we might not like, and I make sure I tell those guys, don't come complaining about stuff. Find a way to use it as an edge. So to me, we don't have any challenges here. We have a great president. We have a great athletic director, and I like the way our team is working right now. So I don't really see any challenges here to recruit to Hamline.
John would like to know if you think there's a point where there can be too much time spent in the weight room.
Well, John, great question. That's something that my family and I were talking about, over the holidays. If you eat too much red meat, that's not good, right? If you eat too many cookies, it's not good. So I'd have to say too much of anything is not good. So too much in the weight room is not a good thing. Those guys need to get away from it for a little while too. So I'd say too much of anything is not good. But the weight room is a big piece and a big part of what we do here at Hamline because one of our pillars is we have to be one of the toughest teams out there, and the way you build that toughness is working out in that weight room. So.
Leon from Minneapolis has a question I think a lot of people are interested in, which is, when evaluating players, which do you find to be more important, talent or character?
Leon, that's a good question. That's a great question. And the easy one, would to be just say talent, right? You want to have a team, a very talented football team. But the thing I think where you run into there is if you just have all talent and you don't have the right kind of people on your team, you can run into issues outside of football on Saturday night. So, to be honest with you, if it comes down to a kid between character, I take the character kid, all the time, and feel like I have enough faith in myself and our staff that we can develop them. So I have to go with character because I need to be able to sleep on Friday nights and Saturday nights that these kids are doing the right thing. So,
heading into a little NFL with you, Trevor from Philly says, "Who is going to the Super Bowl?" And please say it is not Dallas.
Trevor from Philly. Man, I'd like to think you know me a little bit better than that right now, man. We can't ever root for Dallas or Giants or the Redskins. So it's going to be somebody. It ain't going to be Dallas, Trevor. So we're going to ride this thing out. So not Dallas.
Troy from St. Paul would like to know, what do you think happened to the Vikings this season?
Great question, Troy. The Vikings, you know what happened to those guys? In my opinion, again, I'm not there day to day. I don't know anybody on that staff, but just from afar, some things you can't control. They lose a quarterback, they lose a running back. Gosh, their coach was coaching with one eye for a while, right? There's some things you can't control. So they just ran into a little bit of an injury bug, and it's just the way it goes in the football, man. So unfortunately, but the Vikings will be back, man. Coach Zimmer, from what I hear, he's good. He's really, really good. And I'm a little bit biased because he's an Illinois State alum. I'm an Illinois State alum, so I'm pulling for Coach Zimmer over there. He's a good ball coach. So those guys will be fine.
He's done a really good job with that team for sure.
Yes.
Next up, we have Bill from Rodgers. He says, how does a guy like Aaron Rodgers struggle all season, then make the prediction that the team will run the table and they win all their games? Is it that he can will his team that way, or is he simply looking at the schedule and thinking they can win all of their games?
Bill, that's a great question. You know what? I really don't know. I don't know if you can make predictions like that. And maybe he just believes in himself. Aaron Rodgers has been in my opinion, an elite quarterback in that league for a long time. So they struggled, and again, they struggled. They had some injuries early, and then they got people healthy. I think it's a combination of getting people back healthy and the injuries they had early. Aaron Rodgers is a good quarterback. If you have a quarterback, you have a chance in any league. If it's a seventh grade team or the NFL. So they have one, and he's doing well. He made some bold statements, and he's backing it up. So.
We have a couple of NBA questions for you. Drake from St. Paul says, I really thought the Timberwolves would compete better this season. Are you as disappointed as me?
You know what? The Timberwolves will be fine. They have another good ball coach, and he believes in defense. It's just, I believe it's his first year. So, when you're dealing with first years and getting your own philosophy and the way you do things takes a little bit of time. To say I'm disappointed, to be honest with you, Drake, I'm not disappointed. I don't follow them that close, but I know that I more follow coaches, and I know that coach is a defensive coach, and they have talent. It's just going to probably take a little bit of time to get the wheels rolling the right way. So I believe they'll be fine.
Next up is Phil from Trenton. He says, Joel Embiid looks to be everything the 76ers were hoping for. I wonder if a team can reach the top with a center as their star player. It doesn't seem like that is the norm anymore.
Phil from Trenton, man, good to hear from you, man. Glad we got some people out in Jersey listening. I'm a big fan of the Sixers, obviously, and we lost a tough one to the Knicks last night by a point. Joel is doing a great job. I want to say he's almost averaging 20 points. So, to say, teams in the NBA can win with the big man. I'm not going to say that they can't do it. It was done with the San Antonio Spurs when they had the Twin Towers. We got another big guy, Okafor, on our team. So I think we'll be fine. It's a little man's game right now. So it's a guard-driven game from what I've seen. But, I like the way we're built, and it's just going to take a little bit of time, and hopefully we don't blow that thing up, and we get guys healthy and Simmons can get playing, and I'd like to see those guys all playing and to see what we can do. But it's good to have some big people, right? We talked about that. We're recruiting. Large people are hard to find. So we have them, and I think it can be done. But it is a little man's game right now. It's a guard-driven game. So.
You mentioned what seems to be the toughest thing, which is that anytime they have players that are really stepping up, they all of a sudden trade them away.
Right, exactly. There you go.
Well, let's hope that doesn't happen. Andrew from St. Paul says, Happy New Year's, Coach. Did you make yourself a set of resolutions for this year?
Miss Andrea from St. Paul, another good question. I'm not a big believer in resolutions. I just try to, it's a good time to sit back and say, okay, what can I change? But, to sit here and say I'm going to do this and stick to it, I don't do that. The only thing I really need to do is just control, just how my diet, as you get a little bit older, you just want to make sure your diet is is up to par, eating a little bit more greens and a lot less, red meat and bread and all those things. So, and it's not a resolution. Just want to be a little bit more disciplined with, with how I'm eating. So,
Ian from St. Paul would like to know if you have some resolutions you want for your team to make this season.
Yeah, that would be again not so much a resolution. By the time the training camp comes around, we'll be far away from New Year's. But the thing we just got to do, the name of the game is football. So if we can take care of the football, and if we can take away the football, we'll be fine. Those things, because we've got some very, very talented coaches, and we got a good football team. But if you're not taking care of the football and you're not taking the ball away, you're gonna run into problems. So I would say the focus, we want to make sure we're taking the ball away and we're taking care of the football.
Sherry would like to know, she says her husband has a job where he works long hours. She wonders how your wife handles that kind of situation.
Miss Sherry, great question. Great question. And, it's a lifestyle, so hopefully, you understand that. And I guess I would say, if he was doing it, if he was in that profession before you guys got married, then hopefully you're getting yourself a little bit more acclimated to it. But if that's something that he started afterwards, then, that's a little bit, that's going to be tough for you. But you've got to hang in there, and the wives have to understand that, men are prideful, we got to work, and if our job calls for a 18 to 20 hour day, then that's what we got to do to support the family. So it's got to hang in there and just continue to keep talking. And Miss Sherry, make sure he takes you out on dates. There you go. Make sure he still dates you. There you go.
Our last question comes from somebody who calls himself Troubled. He says, I was playing with a game with my girlfriend and some friends on New Year's, and she was asked to describe me. She told me that I was not unattractive. I should be insulted, shouldn't I?
Good question. Not unattractive. Well, I guess you can look at it from two ways. I guess if you went home with her, then it's not a bad thing. But if she left you at the party, then it's a bad thing, right? So I guess you can answer the question there. Maybe she didn't really understand the question, or she was a little nervous. I don't know if it was a first date, but I guess you can look at it as if you guys ended the night together. I say, hey, you're okay if you got left there, or you left her there and you went home by yourself, then, that's a bad thing. So,
great advice. Thanks for joining us this month, Coach.
All right. See you later. Thank you.
We want to thank Coach Taylor for joining us on TaylorMade this month. If you have your own questions you'd like to ask the Hamline coach, please send them to us at chiptaylor@minorleaguesportsupport.com. That's chiptaylor@minorleaguesportsupport.com. During the off-season, the show will be recorded on the first Thursday of each month, so we just ask that you have your questions to us by the Wednesday prior to that. I'm Rob Pannier, the managing editor of the Minor League Sports Report, and we'll see you next time on TaylorMade.